Hello, hello, hello. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Happy Tax Tip Tuesday. I'm trying to close this email so it don't keep dinging. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Happy Tax Tip Tuesday. I'm going to get started in 1 second here. I'm excited for this last topic of the 10 most missed deductions by small businesses. So for the last, since August 1st, August. Wow, time has flown. I've been going live about the 10 overlooked deductions. So week 1, I talked about all 10, which is home office deductions, startup expenses, business use of car, professional services and subscriptions, travel expenses, bad debt, and waste, continuing education, home internet and phone, retirement contributions was last week. So today I'll be talking about charitable donations, but I will also recap all 10 next week, Tax Tip Tuesday. For those of you that have missed it, you can definitely get replays on our pages on Facebook, TLJ Professional Services, as well as about all things financial. You can follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I got several pages on Facebook, so I am Tracy L. Tate. I am the CEO of TLJ Professional Services, where we are about all things financial. I bring to you almost 40 years experience in bookkeeping and accounting and over 40 years experience with tax preparation. I have a master's in business, a master's in accounting, as well as a master's in public administration. So today I'm going to talk about charitable donations that you can deduct in your business, okay? So people get confused on what goes on their personal and what goes on their business return. So if you are a small business, you are able to do charitable donations, okay? So with that, charitable donations, you can write off whether it's your time, you can write off miles, you can write off cash donations, you can write off items or products that you donate, things like that. So as a small business owner, if you provide a service or as your normal craft, you dedicate time or products, again, to a nonprofit, you get to write that off. So a lot of times people forget about miles. People forget about things other than cash, okay? You can write off more than just the cash, okay? So it could be products that you sell, that you donate. It could be service or time that you spend in a charitable entity. So it could be a 501c3, which is a charitable nonprofit. You can also do it for your church. You know, people forget about all the things they do on behalf of the church, right? So you could donate that time as well as write off the value of your services, okay, for the time that you donate. So like with me, you know, I have the nonprofit Beat the Streets in Antioch. So with Beat the Streets, we provide services to young adults 11 to 29 around education, employment, and life skills. And one thing, we cater to ages 11 to 29. So with that, like I know a lot of our youth and young adults these days, they don't want to work for nobody because they don't want to mind nobody, right? They want to have their own flexibility and things like that. So a lot of them are looking at entrepreneurship. So I teach entrepreneurship, right? By the way, I have a challenge coming up, Business Finances Mastery, and you can register at businessfinancesmastery.com. Okay, I will drop that in the chat. Business Finances, the last one was awesomemastery.com. So with that, when I do something for the nonprofit, I write it off as a charitable deduction for my business because otherwise people pay for it, right? So the value that somebody else would pay for it is what I get to write off as a charitable donation, besides just money that I contribute to the organization, right? So I do workshops and stuff like that. What would I charge somebody else? Let's say that so you see this a lot too, where you could buy or you support a nonprofit by attending an event that they're hosting, things like that. Whatever the value of the ticket is that you spend, minus whatever you receive. So let's say it's a luncheon. Whatever your luncheon would cost. So let's say your lunch normally costs $50, but the tickets is $150. You write off the 100 because you got value for the 50. So you can't write off the 50, right? So you wouldn't write off the whole 150. You would write off in excess of what what you would have paid for that lunch. So things like that. That's where people also get confused on what they can and cannot do. So be mindful of that as well. So with charitable donations, be mindful. You get to write off, again, miles. Okay, miles add up, especially when you running errands on behalf of. So I write off my miles for sure, because the charity, my nonprofit, is about 40 miles away, one way for me. So when I go to the center and donate my time as a volunteer for the center, I write that off through my business, right? Because not only is it that I'm spending my gas, my time, my miles going to the organization, it's also taking time away from my business. So therefore, it's time that I get to do that. Okay. So be mindful of all of that. These are overlooked deductions that you can write off in your business. Okay. You can't beat that, right? So other things that you can donate as charity. Okay. Artifacts. Okay. You can bequest through your estate plan, right? So I have my nonprofit in my estate that they're going to get a percentage of my estate because I want it to live on past my life. Okay, so it's part of my legacy that I want to leave, that I bequest some assets and some monies to beat the streets upon my passing. Okay, because it's near and dear. I'm the founder and president, so of course I want to do that, right? So you can donate things like that. So through your trust or through your annual donation. So let me just back up a little bit, because as a charity myself, right, or having a charity myself, charities heavily rely on donations, whether it's cash or cars, right? So some charities take cars because they could turn that value, scrap, into money. Okay, so some organizations will take cars, right? So you could donate cars that's sitting up and doing nothing, right? You could write off. There's so much you could write off. So just be mindful that as a business owner, don't just ignore what you gift. Okay. Now, charitable donations is to a charity, a tax exempt organization. Okay. Whether it's a church or have tax exempt status with their state. That does not mean donating to your cousin Jenny, who just got evicted and need $100 to eat. That's not charity. She is not considered charity. She is considered family, and you should do that anyway, right? But they have to be a 501c3 and not just a nonprofit, but they actually have to have their charitable status or tax exempt status in order to write these things off. Okay. So it's not, oh, I could just donate some money to XYZ and I'm going to write it off in my business. That's not how that works. Okay. Now, you can write off, even though you're doing it from a charitable standpoint, if you take somebody to lunch or you feed a homeless or whatever, but always talk business, right? Because it is business. And business could be even mentorship. So something that I talk to, so I'll be speaking at the Solano Black Chamber of Commerce tomorrow, part 2 of a speaking engagement that I have with them. And one thing that I was telling the cohorts, the small business cohorts, is don't forget that when you gift yourself, your services, your ideas, your all of those things, you can write that off, And as far as like the business meal, as long as you talk business, you are able to write that off. And all businesses have multiple streams of income they can produce from whatever their primary stream of income is in their business. So in this, consulting was a lot of it. So you could talk to a homeless about how they could turn their life around, right? Um, Things like that. So be mindful of charitable donations. So again, I am Tracy L. Tate. I'm the CEO at TLJ Professional Services. We are about all things financial, trademark, and I bring to you many, many, many years of experience in bookkeeping, accounting, as well as taxes. So we've been talking about the 10 most overlooked deductions. And today we are talking about charitable donations. So people think about charitable donations as strictly money. It's not. It could be time, it could be products, it could be miles, it could be a car, right? So it doesn't have to be monetary. It could be artifacts, it could be antiques, anything of value, which your service is of value, you can have as a charitable donation. The only thing that I would like to remind you of is if you receive something in return for something that you're doing from a charitable standpoint, then you write off the difference. So I gave the example earlier in this live about if you support a nonprofit at their annual event, for example, the tickets cost $150 and you're going to have dinner or a lunch or whatever, and that meal normally would cost you $50, then the charitable part is actually the $100. Okay. If you contribute to a raffle, for example, if you win, then it's the difference between the value of the item that you won and the amount you spent on raffle tickets. So things like that, because all of those things as a nonprofit, we rely on charitable donations to survive, to sustain the work that we're doing in the community. Okay, whether it's from a church aspect or a charitable nonprofit organization that's in the community. So we rely on your support. Okay, it's each one teach one. It takes a village, right? So we ain't in the olden days where people actually looked out for each other, but we need to bring it back. And as a charity founder and president myself, we look for donations in order to sustain, to be able to help our young adults, our and youth have the resources that they need to be successful in life. I always joke and kid that, hey, I want to retire one day, so y'all need to contribute to Social Security, but it's real, right? So each generation don't, my internet is janky, don't support or don't work and contribute to Social Security, I won't have no Social Security to retire with. You hear what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that. Your charitable donations are definitely requested and needed and appreciated. Okay. It is a write off. It's a write off for your business. And if you don't have a business, it's a write off for your personal if you itemize. Okay. But charities rely on your contributions. And today we were talking about charitable donations. These are things that a lot of small business owners forget to include when they are preparing their taxes. So this has been my Tax Tip Tuesday charitable contributions, the deductions for small business. So next week I will recap all 10 like I did in week one. This has been an amazing 2-month journey of talking about the 10 overlooked deductions. And I hope you got some value out of it. Again, I will recap all 10 next week on Tax Tip Tuesday. I will see you then. You have a blessed evening. How do I end it? Yes. Hi, Ephraim. Text it Tuesday. Yes. Repayment in full. And